for hosting us out here. We greatly appreciate that. Everybody else has made an effort to come out and attend. Do we have anybody sign up for public comment?
I didn't have a sheet out, so I'm not sure if anybody wants.
Does anybody want to sign up for public comment? No public comment there. All right. Item number 3, district business. A, review and take action to approve duty crew models and address funding for the same. So last meeting we went ahead and approved the duty crew, bring them in and house them in Cold Springs to respond for not just the Cold Springs area, but to augment the rest of the county and other departments throughout the county. So now we just need to talk about which model we're actually going to go with, and there's obviously different price points to go along with that. Mike has actually got some updates, which he should be here shortly, on the actual price points. Denise, do you happen to have a the printout of that? Did she send you that, the printout from the duty crews, the different ones?
It's in front of you. Yeah, and my printer decided to cut out one sentence on the first page.
Oh, nice.
But that part's already kind of been talked about. It's really just the third page, the models.
So this is what we really need to decide. I mean, obviously we got several factors. We got the money factor, and then the housing factor in there while our ESD building and station is being renovated. But I know that the mayor's, I've talked to him several times, great guy, said that, you know, he's willing to help out and do whatever he can do to help us with, to provide fire and EMS service for the county. So we just need to get with him in that interlocal agreement and make sure that we can utilize it if we have to. And I've also spoke with Chief Haylock and Chief Shauna Holman, and we're going to be working together with them as well. But first things first, I think we need to figure out as far as the money goes. I spoke with Chief Matthews some as well. I'd like to start out with as long as we can afford it, and I'm pretty sure that we can, which would be the first model, and that would be the 3 personnel per day, 24/7, 365. If we can take and we can get the participation out of volunteers and stuff to actually staff that, the days that we're able to staff it, as long as they're qualified and certified to either ride in the back or even drive or ride that seat, to staff with volunteers, you know, for an actual shift, you know, show up to volunteer 12 hours out of the day, whether it's 7 p to 7 a on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever it is, then we just won't hire out a duty crew member that day if they're, as long as they're qualified to do that. And throughout that time, they can work with the duty crew members that are there. Most all of them that are going to be on the roster is going to be instructors, and that's going to be part of their roles and responsibilities to help train and to complete their task books and their firefighter 1s and 2s. And then, you know, who knows, eventually it may even get to where it's staffed a lot more than what we anticipate and have a lot more participation. I know there's other departments out there and other ESDs to where once the fire departments are consolidated, there's a lot more participation. They see a lot more participation and actually through staffing and scheduling to actually, you know, have a truck that's dedicated and that's actually staffed, I guess. So we'll just have to kind of see where that goes. That'll depend on, you know, just the volunteers that we got and who's willing to commit, and we won't know it until we actually do it. That model is roughly about, let's see, that one's $500K a year, roughly. Mike's got the updated numbers. I think it's somewhere around 520. I know we have some left in sales tax and the contingency, and then what we're anticipated to receive on next year's as well. I think is that price is going up too. So Denise, do you happen to have them numbers at all, or?
Just based on the very preliminary look at the appraisals and the certified taxes, it's going to go up 300 plus from
Okay.
the year
Gotcha.
before, based on the current tax rate.
Okay.
So, real quick, so excuse me, last week
Yeah.
I wasn't here, I think last week or whenever it was.
Yeah, just in the hill country.
Yeah, I was in the hill country, and so I apologize. Tammy told me to pass on her thing, but
Yeah.
she apologized for not being here either. But, so I'm little, like I said, I'm trying to catch up on this, so y'all forgive me. So, I'm just now looking at the proposal. One of my concerns is maybe the verbiage.
Right.
Because, we got the typical writing assignments, and I'm not trying to nitpick nothing, but
Yeah.
like I said, verbiage, buy-in from the volunteers. Talking about rare seats filled by qualified volunteers when available. So, on the qualified volunteers thing, I mean, where we're at on that, like, what's your definition?
Well, that'll be somebody that's firefighter 1, and then working on firefighter 2. I mean, to my knowledge, that's gonna come down to a policy issue inside of whatever the fire chief recommends. I mean, what do you think?
According to SFMA, it's required to have in order to do something like that. So there's a lot of stipulations. It's basically through them certified as a basic fireman, which is firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. Now, on the flip side, TCFP requires if you're paying any employee to ride on the fire truck and paying them to be a fireman, they have to be at least TCFP basic.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, this would be just basically as a combination model, so.
Which includes, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Which includes what?
certified through TCFP as a paid fireman.
Okay. So, do we have any volunteers here that are?
You do.
That fit that
Yeah, there's
description?
a few of them.
Yeah, probably at least 6 or 8 I know of.
The thing that you run into with the combination departments is usually by the time a person gets their TCFP and becomes state certified, if they're up there working or manning a truck, they're wanting to get paid for it, and rightfully so, I get it. So usually what you see happen is the first 2 spots in the truck will be filled because it is a TCFP department, it is a duty crew, we are paying them, so they have to be certified. But you'll utilize and fill them spots in the back with volunteers who want to volunteer and who want to, show up, ride a shift and run calls and work on their task books or work on their training and their education and kind of mentorship, if you will. So we can't obviously pay them, and you can't pay somebody that you can't have somebody volunteer at the same place that they're paid.
Right, so, but if they're not getting paid, they're volunteers, so let's say we got some that aren't qualified, they can't ride on that same truck as the ones that are paid.
I mean, that would come down to a policy thing. I don't know that we would really want anybody to do that, really, to be on a
Jeff has
first
reviewed a
truck.
lot of the certifications throughout the county, and there's a lot of people ready to test out written
Right.
and skills, so.
I saw that.
Handful.
That would come down to a policy thing, and I'm going to say, I know we talked about it before, and this is probably before you come on. We want to approve and review everything, but as far as, our policies go and the SOGs go, as far as the fire department, we want to ensure that the fire department, the fire chief has them things in place, but also we meet once a month, sometimes twice a month. He's there at minimum 5 days a week. We want to untie his hands and
Most definitely.
and let him do what a fire chief does. And now I will say anything to do with hiring or anything to do with the finances, stuff like that should come to the board for approval. But he should be able to, at minimum, be able to write and release general orders. And so general orders coming from the fire chief, I mean, it's as good as inside the fire department as law, basically.
Right, I just don't want to get in that mindset that we're all trying to avoid, is that the paid people are better than the volunteers.
Oh, no.
And that's why I said
Yeah.
that's why I was concerned about the verbiage of this, is kind of putting that off a little bit.
I don't think
Which
that-
verbiage
And
is
it could be just bias, in my opinion.
I don't think that I think we've even stated in the last meeting that we don't want these guys that are coming in to man a duty crew, they're not going to be shouting orders at the volunteers.
Right.
basically, you know what I mean?
Well, they will give them orders, but it ain't gonna be a shouting or putting them down kind of
Yeah.
deal. And we talked about that, I don't know if you got a chance to look at the video or not. Mr. McCoppin was nice enough to publish and air on our last meeting, but the whole purpose of the duty crew is to augment the volunteer system that we already have, especially while we're in such a transition, trying to figure out what it is we actually got and where it's actually gonna go. And to basically fill in them gaps of coverage and gaps of service that we know that we have out there, whether that's a complete gap or just a serious gap in time of 30, 40-minute response times. We're gonna get a quick response time. We've pretty much got a roster already of tentative prospects that are willing to come be part of the duty crew here. Most of them live inside the county. All of them are very, very professional, and they know as well as everybody else that it doesn't matter whether a person's volunteer or paid. We're going to uphold ourselves to them core values and commitment and courage, integrity, and professionalism. If it's a volunteer not doing it, then they're going to be uninvited, and if it's a paid guy, they're definitely going to be uninvited. So.
All right, and then the other thing is, like you just said earlier, that the crew is supposed to answer for all calls in the county, and here it just says Cold Spring area coverage area. So
Where
are you looking at?
duty crew responsibilities.
Where at?
Duty crew responsibilities. And my mindset, duty crew is supposed to help with the whole county and not this one area, so.
Yeah, it says duty crew responsibilities, respond to calls in the Cold Spring coverage area, automatically dispatch to structure fires and major MVAs across the county. And so basically what this looks like is that anything in the Cold Spring district, because they're going to be right there stationed in Cold Springs, that'll be their primary response area. If Shepherd gets dispatched for a tree in the road, and they're not going to be automatically dispatched to that. They're going to give them time to answer up, and if they've got somebody that's coming and they're just 15 or 20 minutes out, they'll let them go ahead and run it. Most likely that'll come back to policy and SOGs between the fire chief and staff to figure out how that's actually going to work. But as far as your MVAs, high-speed MVAs and structure fires and things like that, your higher tiered responses, they'll be automatically placed on them calls. And if Shepherd or Point Blank shows up and they say, hey, we're out, we're assuming command, it's going to be one vehicle, minor damage, we'll handle it here. Engine one you can disregard if referring to the duty crew or whatever their designation is. But if they're not able to respond and not able to get there, or they get there and it's something major, at least the duty crew will be just a few minutes out, or they may even in some cases actually be demand.
And my last thing is, so I'm glad Smith showed up right now, because I'm not a money person, by no means. I didn't go to school for money. So on the model 1, 2, and 3, I did the math on model 3, and my math is coming out, instead of the 200,000 a year, it's coming out to 499,000.
Whoa, yeah, that's a big discrepancy. Now it's.
And I'll explain it, because I took the max on max on the roster. You got 15 personnel times the 32 hours, come out to 480. Times the 20 hours a week, $20 an hour, came down to 9,600.
Okay.
Times the 52 weeks a year.
That's because you're doing it times 15 personnel.
You're right. I said I did the math.
Right. We're not employing. So basically, we have a minimum and a maximum staffing.
And you're also running it.
So basically, you
You're running it
multiply
7 days a week.
3 times 12
hours
times 250 is how you would get the math on that. The 10 to 15 is some people may actually work 4 days throughout the month, or whatever their maximum amount is, and some may only work the bare minimum, which is 2 days a month. And so you just want enough people on your roster to account and offset for when the other guys don't pick up. So at the bare minimum, we could get away with 10 people, and that's them working, no more than 48 hours. 48 hours a month is what the minimum is. We can't work them more than 32 hours a week. And we're going to try to just say 24 hours a week. But you never know, if they work a 24-hour shift and there's a train derailment or an accident, they may get hung over for 8 hours or something like that. So we want to make sure to have that buffer in there. But the extra personnel that's in there is just how many people we have on the roster with year that can work, but not necessarily work.
So we're not gonna work, even at 10, we're not gonna work all 10 at 32 hours a week,
No.
every week.
Mhm.
See, that's what I'm saying, when you look at this, that's kind of how it fits off that we're doing. And that's
Yeah,
why-
no, and that's
that
why
money's not adding up.
Yeah, no, that's why we put at the very, very top line, 3 personnel, 12 hours a day, and then approximately 250, and I think somebody corrected me, the math actually turned out to be around 260 days out of the year. It's 12 hours a day, and then 5 days a week. So that's all you'd have is 3
You
personnel.
did it 52.
And you know,
Right,
like,
52 weeks, yeah, I was on it.
somebody that wants to volunteer and shows up and says, hey, I don't have anything going on, and I would like to ride with the duty crew, which you're gonna have that. You're gonna have people that are drawn to that and want to work with the duty crew for many different reasons. One, they're just gonna enjoy being on a staff truck and be able to have first respond and get there really early. And then also be there for mentorship as well, to be able to receive training and things like that. So you're kind of getting 2 and 3 fold with it. So, was there anything else in there? Especially, I want to really look at, anything that would make anybody think or feel that, this is to like push volunteers out or to not make them feel, I guess, needed or important.
I mean, I have my own concerns on that. I mean, that's just because when you first throw this out, this human nature, you're gonna have volunteers quit. I mean,
Yeah.
or not
Oh, yeah.
show up. I mean, it is
Right.
what it is. But, I mean, it's gonna be a transition period.
Yeah, and that is gonna happen, and I've seen that with many, duty crew transitions of duty crews or from all volunteer to paid staff. You do have some people that just say, hey, you know what, they're paying people to do this, and I've been volunteering to do it, and I just don't wanna do it no more. And it doesn't make them a bad person, it just makes them not wanna do it anymore. These people that are coming in here to get paid to do it are gonna be here to serve a purpose, which is to fill that coverage gap and to respond to calls and get early fire protection service out there, so.
And like I said, like you just mentioned, like when it comes down to hiring, I think the whole board needs to help with that. It's not necessarily take nothing from Matthew, but there's names I've already heard around the county that's gonna be thrown out that potentially if one of those individuals get hired, we're gonna lose a whole bunch of people. So, I think it needs to be brought, potentially across the whole board, just to make sure.
Well,
I mean, like,
yeah, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, and I guess the first thing we do now that we got Mike here, we'll go ahead and look at the money and see what everybody's thinking as far as which model you want to go with. I'm personally fond, obviously, of Model 1 because it gives you solidarity and complete coverage 24/7, 365. The truth of the matter is that we're not able to predict, when a call is going to come out, and this county may see the worst fire and EMS call that it's ever seen in its entirety, and then, at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that would be outside the coverage area of the Monday through Friday, 12-hour day coverage duty crews.
You just never know what.
Yeah, you just don't ever know when it's gonna happen, so I think with the $3 million that we throw at our system every year, to have an actual crew that's standing by, that's capable and that's there and that's ready to respond within the 80 seconds that we're gonna be pushing them for, the national average. I think that's the best one that we should do, as long as we can afford it and sustain it.
I see that, but, I'm more leaning towards, personally, I'm leaning towards none just yet, but if we're gonna go away, more 3, because we got a lot of commitments that we made to the citizens and fire departments of upping the radio system, an ambulance in the county, and I still haven't seen numbers on how much that would cost us. I know we requested it like two.
What, on ambulance? 600,000?
600,000.
Right, like I said, I just haven't seen that.
Monty sent me a deal on House Bill.
3,000.
3,000 as far
Yeah.
as granting another ambulance.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's several counties that do that. And I think that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, I just feel we got all these commitments to fixing radios and ambulances and buildings. We need to look at the minimum first and then work our way up.
Well, what we got and what we decided on as a board is that we have EMS coverage and protection. We could, I mean, let alone one ambulance, we could always use 2 more ambulances given the size of our county. But the call volume is right on par for the call volume, the response time for the EMS. It's right on par for what we're seeing with our surrounding counties and the area around us. In the rural areas, you're not going to get, unless you live inside the city limits somewhere in a municipality, you're just not going to, on average, get your 3 to 5 minute response time out of EMS. This place is 650 square miles. We only have 3 ambulances. We could absolutely use that for it, but due to the low amount of call volume, which is running around 350 to 400 calls a month, which that is a low call volume, especially for a place this size, the ambulances are able to do what they're needing to do. But on the flip side, we have 3 ambulances that are covering their calls, they're making them, but we have 9 stations of fire departments that there is no guarantee on. There is a ton of gaps in coverage. And so that's why we need at least one. And as a board, we went ahead and decided that. So now we just need to figure out which model. So, Mike, what's your thoughts?
Obviously, Model 3 is the cheapest. My thoughts are, depending on the SAFER grants and how much money we could get from that would depend, in my thinking, on what we could sustain.
Right.
If, obviously, the first Model 1 is more expensive, it's going to be probably closer to $535,000, but it's that, at high end.
Mm-hmm.
So, plus the gear cost, okay? And we can't sustain that. I don't think we can sustain that without just diminishing our contingency to 0.
Right.
And we can't do that. And for the reason of something comes up that, we need to do duty crews or whatever. That's going to take part of that contingency. And that contingency is something that's been built up
Right.
over the years.
Right.
And so with that being said, if we take 600,000 out of it this year, we won't have 600,000 next year.
Right.
We're making, and this year it's going to be less, about 200,000 a year in income off of investments.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I hate to say we could dedicate that income to it, but that would definitely offset any of these models.
Right.
But we can't sustain the model number 1 unless we get some money from SAFER grants.
Right.
And
Okay.
not to cut you off, but on the board, I want everybody to understand, we don't want to be like a neighboring department who relied on SAFER grant after year, and then they lost it one year, and they got fined.
Yeah.
So we don't want to.
No, I agree 100%. We don't know if and when. I mean, I'm quite certain that we qualify and we have a good chance of getting it, but it's not here, so we can't rely and depend on it.
Now, conceivably, we could start with one model and shift to another model depending on where the finances are.
Right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The communications costs that are being projected right now are not going to be as high as I anticipated.
Right.
We're changing the format that we're going to do it and I can talk more about that when we have communications on the agenda, but it is a cost, and it is becoming less of a cost than I anticipated originally. I had some big numbers in my head originally. My thinking is the Model 2 is kind of a sweet spot between 1 and 3. The 12 hours a day, unless, I don't, if you work, you'll have to work shifts on that, and then that'll fall on the chief to do the scheduling. But I just kind of went through some modeling in my head on shifts, and it got complex in my head quickly.
Well, Model 3 does have its perks, obviously, like you said earlier, it is the cheaper route, which it's actually my second favorite. I don't particularly like Model 2 because you only have 2 personnel on a fire truck.
And that's
problematic in itself, and that's not, I know that, a lot of departments right now, they'll run, and we've seen it recently, they'll run 1 or 2 people just out of necessity, and we're here, and there's a call, and there's people that needs us, but that's the problem with the system that we have, is it's, not necessarily a person or their independent policy that gets them in trouble, but the system as a whole that we have that allows, one person to run, or not having the people there with them to run. It puts them in a bad spot, because even with our training and everything that we do, our SOGs, there's pretty much nothing anybody on the fire scene does alone with outside of a crew. And 3 is really the absolute minimum number that you want that's actually operating on a crew, because usually you got your driver operator, he's going to be at the pump if it's a fire, and then it's the other 2 guys together. But if it's just 2 people and 1 guy's driving the truck, then that puts the other guy playing John Wayne and not having the help that he needs, and doing things that's outside of what we train to do, because everything we train to do is with 2 people usually.
We can guarantee these 1 or 2 volunteers.
That's the whole thing.
So what if we went with, and these specific models, I see modifications on them all over the place. Take part of 3 and put it in 2. In other words, run 3 personnel, 12 hours a day, but 2 personnel 24 hours a day. So you wouldn't need the 3 as much, and then run them 5 days a week, kind of thing. It's
well, kind of where I was thinking with this is really starting off with Model 1, and then just to make sure that all of our bases are covered and that there's an actual crew there from the inception of it. And as we consolidate the departments, we get these people, the volunteers, we make sure that they have their training that they need, and everything becomes a lot more established. Then hopefully the participation will increase, and as the participation increases, we can probably start scaling back as far as what we have as far as our duty crew goes, which would land us in the cost range of somewhere in between that. Chief Matthews isn't gonna, if he has 2 qualified people and then he has somebody that's qualified to drive, and that's a firefighter 2, and they have a driver operator certification, and they want to they're checked off to do so, he's not going to put them in the back and turn around and employ a person that's going to be $20 an hour up front to drive if it's not necessary. I believe that's going to come down to him being just a good steward of the budget and the money, so save us money where we can, but at the same time make sure that we have the spots adequately filled inside of the fire trucks. So I really see, Model 1 probably for the first 6 months it's going to cost us exactly what it's going to cost us, but if we see a spike and increase in the volunteerism, the participation out of the program, and the consolidation that we're going to, I see that number coming way down. But the thing is once again, we're dealing with an unpredictable value here in this equation, which is how much participation are we going to get?
That's why you kind of got to go with the safest model,
Yeah, that's it. And so,
and that's the Model 3 one.
well,
No, Model 3 is not the safest.
no, it's not.
Well,
Model 3 is the cheapest.
Well, not just the
Yeah.
cheapest, but it's the one that you know you can sustain while you're going, starting out. You know that, because like you said, Model 1, you know you can't sustain it just yet, not for sure.
And I know Mike's the money man, and by all means, but I do believe that we can sustain it, and as we talked about, I'm not gonna go into that, people can watch the videos out there, but I believe that we're gonna see, you know, between the consolidation and the duty crews, I believe that we're gonna see a lot more savings with our money, from gear to equipment to liability and cost reduction on a lot of different things. We're actually going to be saving a lot more than what we actually have been in the past. So that too is going to offset a lot of the costs and expense.
Are you saying sustain Model 1 and for 6 months and then go down to one of these other 2 models after 6 months?
If we needed to, or we had to, we could. And at the end of the day, your duty crew guys are still going to be, they're still going to be there. They're going to be available. And if we end up needing less, and you know, we'll just work them less. So.
And then you could potentially lose, if you cut back, you give somebody a good thing, and then you turn around and you cut that from them, then you could potentially lose part of it.
If it's one thing I know, it's we're not ever going to have a problem filling the duty crew spot in this county. So even though it's not the highest paid number out there, $20 an hour is still not a bad thing. But besides, a lot of people work duty crew, obviously for you know, the extra income and stuff like that too. But most people pick a duty crew that's well, a duty crew in itself, in the name means that it's a department that's usually a combination of paid and volunteer, and it's usually in a lot slower area. So they're still getting paid to do a job that they love, but they also wind down a little bit because it's usually a slower pace, you know, that's only running 3 or 4 calls a day, not 15 or 20. And so, and then most of these people all live inside this county anyway, and some of them aren't even working duty crew right now just because they don't want to go work anywhere else. But being that it's right here in their own backyard for the citizens and the people in their county, and they know the county and they know the territory and the community and all the players, they, you know, they're.
And I get that mindset, but you know, on the same side of that, you know, you're saying that we're going to give them no matter what, but where are they at now? You know, they're living in the county, and we've had these fire departments, but they're not volunteering. Just because you pay them, I mean, yeah, that does make a difference, it gives them the initiative, but at the same time, we can't 100% rely.
Well, I covered that in one of the workshop meetings that we had, but it's real simple. Most of these guys they started off volunteer and they went on to become career paid guys, and it's not that they don't like to volunteer. It's not that they don't like the volunteers that are out there. It's just they don't want to be part of a system that is not familiar to them anymore, which is they're used to doing it a particular way at their own department, which is the same way, you know, throughout the state. Your TCFP departments run relatively all the same. They have their differences and things like that, but they all meet a certain level of requirements and training in the way that they operate.
I get that.
And so it's hard for them to come back into a system that doesn't have the redundancies, or that allows one guy to pull the truck and that may be pumping it, that may or may not have training to do so, or may not have the license to do so. And so when they're looking at career and long-term and longevity of life, they know what the inherent dangers are with it, and they know that it's just really not safe to operate in you know, places that don't have them things established.
I can see these paid guys that are, wherever they live, working duty crews, they're actually doing it on the side basis, apart from their normal full-time job. They're getting paid for it like an extra job. So they're still doing it, doing what they love to do. So that, to me, in and of itself is a dedication. I have seen a lot of career firemen who have different side jobs. I've seen one that drove 18-wheeler trucks as a side job. But you got those who are career and who are going on to these other volunteer fire departments as a sign on as a duty crew. So yeah, they're still doing what they love, so.
Yeah, I get that, and I'm not arguing that point, I'm just saying on the reliability side.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll be here. They'll be here.
And if they're not here, let's just take the worst case. If they're not here, we're in the same position we're in right now.
Well, these guys aren't also going to abandon their post. If they got somebody that's running late, these guys, most people work for a place that doesn't allow them to work anywhere within 12 hours or 24 hours prior to coming on shift. That's like me and my department. I can't go and say, well, I'm going to pick up duty crew somewhere. They get off at 0600 in the morning, and then I'll get early relief to come in and relieve me at 5, and then I'll go to work in Humble at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, first of all, you can't ever count getting an MBA or getting an accident or a fire and being hung for 2 or 3 hours. That and my department has a policy that doesn't allow me to do that, because we've seen them problems throughout the past of people getting held over, hung over at other jobs, and as a career department, they say, hey, you want to work here, you got to make us priority one. You don't work anywhere 12 hours or 24 hours before you come here. So guys are usually pretty good about managing that, so it doesn't matter. That's pretty much the same way from Palestine down to Galveston. I mean, it's done relatively the same across the fire service. So these guys are going to be, if they're getting off work, some of them's got shift change at 6, and we have a shift change that's at 7, maybe getting off the regular job and coming here. And if there's already a guy there, they just call the relief and say, hey man, I got a late call. You mind hanging for me? And they say, no, I can't, but my driver over here, he don't have anything going, let me get with him. And so it just works out. I mean, it really does. So I'm not really worried about the logistics of that.
Mike, what does the money say, Mike?
Money says we can afford all three going in.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought is, obviously Model 1 is the best model, and we've got the money going in. It's going to be a little more than it's going to be, if it were for a year, it would be $650,000, $670,000, which we can afford one time. Okay. My anticipation is, or my expectation is that we will start there and see how that is working and watch the money. I can't guarantee $200,000 in income, or to smooth that. But I also know that if we went from Model 1 to a modified Model 3, we can offset that expense with interest income.
Right.
So even on our worst years, we made $100,000. When the interest rate was really killing us.
Right.
I was 92, something like that. But it's still, we can offset the expense, and if we have to financially go to the Model 3,
Right.
we can shift to the Model 3.
Right.
And use many of the same personnel. So I think we can afford to start with the looking at how much money I've got in contingency and sales tax and the revenue that I'm generating, or we're generating.
Right.
Model 1 is not out of the question.
Derek, what do you think?
On a start-out basis.
Right.
I mean, Model 1 obviously is the better deal. I mean, as far as 24/7 coverage. My biggest concern is the money issue.
Right.
Being able to afford it. I mean, if we can afford it year after year after year, then yeah, that's what we need to do. But to get things up and running, I don't have a problem with going with Model 1 as long as we turn around and reevaluate the money situation, like
After
say,
going into next budget
like
year.
6 years, like, I mean, 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, and that's,
Evaluate it and then see where we're staying on money. And then if we have to cut back, then we cut back.
And I think the Safer Grant application period starts in what, is it June, May or June?
I'd have to double check.
Yeah, it's somewhere usually around the middle of the year is when that process starts. What you got to do?
Is there any way that you could hold this vote until after executive session? Because I have something about personnel in the executive session that I want to bring up
Oh.
before this is voted,
Okay.
if that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, sure. All right, so,
Executive session now.
well, we can
I don't
probably
care.
wait and we'll just continue to discussing this and then,
Let me see if I'm ready.
so I I think most people are, Emmett, where do you stand? Are you, I know you wasn't here because you was at work in the hill country, but overall, do you see the need for to have the coverage 24/7 and the duty crew?
I don't foresee the need necessary to have it 24/7. No. For years, we've talked about a duty crew. Not necessarily on the paid side. We were hoping to start off volunteers and then work towards getting them all paid once they get all the trainings and stuff like that. In my opinion, it's one of the things where I think we should start off minimum and then work our way up as the income taxes property taxes start coming in 3 to 5 years from now. Then you slowly work your way up once you can guarantee that you have the money there. And
Right.
that's just my personal.
But I mean, do you see the need for them?
Not 24/7, no.
And what?
Just because, like you said, when you look at the call volume, we don't have too many calls at 2, 3, 5 necessarily. And then on top of that, we don't necessarily have any place other than Pumpkin Evergreen for them guys to sleep. So.
No, that's not going to be a problem. We're going to be able to interlocal agreement, or they'll be able to have quarters inside of the ESD building, and if we got to, we'll put a FEMA tax trailer up, and them guys will camp whatever we have for them till we get something built out.
Yeah, I get that. Either way, we got to spend money to get that done to make things in compliance. So.
But don't you think it's worth it for the public the taxpayers out there that's spending, $3 million toward the system, but yet we can't guarantee that we'll have a fire truck available for them 24/7 when they call, or they might have to wait like the other day, 30, 40 minutes just to have one guy show up in the engine to perform an extrication. I mean, I think it's worth it, and in fact, I know that it's worth it.
On that call, wasn't there 3 people that showed up on that call?
Eventually, but the first.
I don't know.
The first responding unit for the territory that the call was in was actually in Cold Springs, just a mile or two from the station. One crew member from Cold Springs showed up and pulled the engine and arrived on scene first by themselves. And eventually we had Camilla that showed up and with 2 people. And
I mean, I get all
the people that's there, they obviously duty crew and have other jobs, so it had been the next day following. It might have only just been that one person from Cold Springs, and the extrication, from the time of 911, the extrication was just a few minutes. 50 minutes. So
I mean,
almost an hour.
I get the
A block
concern.
from, within a mile or 2 from the fire station. So had a duty crew been there, within 2 to 3 minutes, the duty crew would have been on scene and
All right, so
looking at about 10 minutes plus, they'd have been extricated. So 30, 40 minutes quicker response and extrication time. I think it's worth it.
I mean, I get that. So you asked the question, I get all that. There is a lot of variables in it, but when we're being stewards of the money, we got to make sure we have the money.
Right.
And we can't overcommit. And like we've committed to the radio system. I thought we committed to the ambulance system, and I know we committed to the fire station. And yeah, the radio towers don't cost much, but then you got radios itself that we got to buy that's going to be compatible to the system when all the other stuff comes in. And that's a lot of money right there alone. So there's,
I'm already working that.
I know, I'm just saying, we don't have those numbers here to make a solid, good money commitment.
Yeah, and that's
my concern.
That's the whole point of it, and of course, that's another topic, but that was the whole point of the consolidation for us to, once we consolidate, we're gonna be able to get that data and to be able to review it and take action on a lot of different things to make improvements and stuff. But the most important part of the fire and EMS service is not radio towers, it's not the stations. We can build 20 stations tomorrow.
I get that, but if we're going, we gotta
It's
have everything set.
having reliable, committed personnel to show up on scene when we need them to be there.
But if we don't have things, if we're stretching this $600,000 a year because we don't know if we're committed to that, how can we turn around and buy the radios that were for the guys to work? That's a concern.
Right. Well, this is just
That's what
putting
I
the
said.
priority on where the taxpayers at, and that's what we decided as a board last shift, or not shift, the last board meeting, is that our number one priority is to have a staff crew to be able to respond 24/7, day or night. And then we'll work on them other areas and we'll work on the money as it goes, but we're gonna see savings out there. That's a fact, so.
And that's what I'm saying, where's the number that, so we can, I hate making decisions without having solid numbers, solid information, and we don't have that
Right, well, the first deal was, and we already kind of covered it, but I just, for the sake of moving forward with using, you wasn't here, but is the actual need there?
We already established that. I mean, the need's always there. There's a need to have a whole bunch of duty crews.
Okay.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, there's a need to have 3 or 4 different ambulances. There's a need to have a whole bunch of radio systems, but we have to make sure we have the funds to do it.
Right, that's what we're gonna do. So we'll table this one till after, does anybody want any more discussion? You good? We'll go ahead and table this one, we'll pick this one back up after executive session. Do you have a motion to table it?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? All right. Item B, review and take action on interlocal agreement with the city of Cold Spring.
You talked to the mayor since the last meeting?
I haven't talked to him since the last meeting. I need to go by there and visit with him as well, but the couple of conversations I did have with him, they were all good conversations, and then he stated that, he was just in it, and him and his board was in it to just do what they could to help make sure that, the city of Cold Springs, his area that he's responsible for, has coverage. He's not looking at doing anything with the building other than using it for fire protection for fire and EMS both. And as we got a little bit more down the road and figured out where we was actually going to be at and what we was going to be doing with Cold Spring Fire Department as well as the duty crew and stuff, he said once we had a few more knowns, that we would get back together and talk about what it is that, how we could, operate together. But I feel like there's definitely,
I think he's doing the work.
Absolutely.
He's not hindering our move forward.
Right.
Per se.
But they own the building now, so we'll just enter a local agreement with them, and I don't see any problems with it. And I even spoke some with Chief Haylock and Chief Hallman, and we're supposed to be getting together as well, talk about what this looks like as far as moving forward with, the duty crew. If we have to, ultimately, I'd like to see them at the ESD building once we get it built out. We'll have small crew quarters in it for them to be able to stay, and then the trucks can be housed right there on the same property inside the warehouse, basically, and just keep them separate. But if we did have to house them together, that's not an uncommon thing throughout the fire service. You meet the needs, and the mission comes first, and you do whatever it takes to make sure that it happens. So that can all be worked through.
Are we is this interlocal agreement, are we supposed to be approving this, or?
Yeah, I think that we'll just, read through it if you hadn't already read through it. Obviously, when we take this to City of Cold Springs, they might look at it and say, yeah, it looks great to us, and we can tell them sign here and press hard and get it done, or they may have something that they want to change or see differently about it, and if that's the case, we'll just have to meet again and bring it back to the board. But I think that this is a good place as any to start with.
Yeah, you guys approved, to work out an interlocal agreement several months ago, and my question was who was supposed to write this, and I believe that the city had said that they would, but we had not received anything yet, so.
Yeah, when Tammy and I went over there, the mayor said that he would draw something up,
Yeah.
but obviously he hasn't.
Yeah, so we just basically need somewhere to start to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And council has made his revisions to this and put his.
Did he put his name on the bottom?
He does have a spot.
That's Russell.
That was
Well, it's for all
specifically-
of us.
Yeah.
She just is more concerned with.
Right, no, I know that was her add-on, she wanted to see it for sure. Yeah. Don't see any problems or issues with it, do you?
Yeah, let me scan it still.
Okay.
It didn't seem that like that. It really didn't seem like that. To me, of course, you know.
What would be shared,
Maybe
city building.
So because EMS lives there, let's say the EMS air conditioner went out in their quarters, then technically, under this agreement, that would mean that it would be their responsibility to fix that, but they could reach out to us and say, hey, since it's in the EMS quarters, could y'all pay for some of it, or,
Whereas before, when the air conditioner or something went out, or there was a repair that needed to be made, we paid for all of it.
Yeah, every one of those air conditioners have been replaced multiple times by the ESD.
Right.
Yeah, I know we've done a lot of repairs on
Yeah.
that building over the years.
And we would still, obviously, be working good with the city, just like we do City of, or not City of Shepherd, but Precinct 2 owns the building, I believe, for EMS and Shepherd on Bird Avenue. The county
Yeah, the
does.
county.
And so we lease the building from them, and I think they do some stuff with it, but we do most of it, so.
Well, I know.
If we got a crew that's in there that needs AC repair or a roof leak or whatever, we're just gonna take care of it, because it's for emergency services, that's where we're gonna spend our money regardless.
I know the sheriff's office is on that part-time.
Yeah,
We pay for everything in that building.
We pay for everything now,
yeah,
but under this, we wouldn't necessarily pay for everything.
right, we would have to vote on it as a board.
Yeah, they would, if the city asked for
Yeah.
something specific.
Right.
We're gonna, as long as we keep the mission first, which is to serve the citizens and to protect them, there's nothing that we're not gonna be able to get through. So keep that at the forefront of all of our decisions.
I don't have any problem with it.
I don't.
All right.
Is that
Do we have a motion?
I'll
Yeah.
make the motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Wilkie. We have a second
What's the motion to this?
to accept the interlocal agreement.
All right. I'll
Send it to
second.
the city.
All right. Do we have any more discussion? Amen. You got anything? All in favor? All right.
So who is going to be responsible to give this to the city?
I can take it, or Derek can take it, it don't matter.
I think
Don't
if you
take
Brian,
it, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. All right, review and take action on changes to approval of assignment agreements for the VFDs.
I only put this on here because we had just some changes or some updates, but this is going to be specific to departments, so I don't know that there's technically any action on it today. I just put it there in case you had something that you needed, a revised one for a specific department that you needed to bring. I'll keep something like this on the agenda so that each meeting, if y'all have an assignment agreement ready to go and it's been agreed on by both parties, that y'all will be able to vote on it.
Yeah, of course.
So that's just gonna kind of be a living document right now.
Right. Yeah, I don't have anything to add at this time, do you?
I'm good with it as is.
Okay. All right, so no action needed on this. Leave it tabled for next meeting. All right.
Wait a minute. You said leave it tabled till the next meeting.
Or we'll just put it back on the agenda, but
And old business or something.
We don't have all this.
Just put it back on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
all right, we'll go ahead and adjourn for closed session.
So, I have to ask, I see there are cameras in the room. Can you tell us if there's any recording going on?
Hey, Chief,
Yes, sir.
we noticed there's cameras. Can we ensure that there's no recording going on?
Yes, sir. For closed session.
Thank you, Chief. Just for the closed session part.